Bulginaka, do you know that cybercrime is becoming a growing problem in Fiji?
Cybercrime is defined as a crime in which a computer is the object of the crime, such as hacking and spamming.
Cybercrime is also cyberbullying and using fake profiles to cause panic and spreading false news.
If you're involved in this or know anyone who's committing.
In this bulletin, COVID hampers efforts to reduce child labor. Government tops up member accounts beyond withdrawals. And restaurants urged to comply with food safety standards.
From the studios of FBC Suva.
The challenges to addressing child labor has taken new turns because of the coronavirus pandemic. The crisis has brought additional poverty, and Women and Children Minister Meresedi Vuniwaqa says these may reverse years of progress in the fight against child labor. Jeshu Lal reports.
The pandemic has worsened the situation for many families, putting them in financial hardships.
Children already in child labor may be working longer hours or under worsening conditions, the report says. More of them may be forced into the worst forms of labor, which causes significant harm to their health and safety.
The minister says everyone's decisive action is crucial at this time to reverse the growing child labor participation.
And training these actors on interagency guidelines, supporting child protection training in schools, establishing the commercial sexual exploitation of children, CSEC, and child labor subcommittees or working groups under the National Coordinating Committee on Children.
Also, it's important to monitor, to know the situation, monitor and take actions to help children who are particularly in forced labor.
The Fijian government has specific social assistance programs to ensure students complete their primary and secondary school education. The government believes education is an important factor that drives children out of poverty. Jeshu Lal, FBC News.
The government top-up for the COVID-19 Relief Assistance Program exceeds the amount taken out by the Fiji National Provident Fund members from their general accounts. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama highlighted these while speaking on Radio Fiji One's Not the Prime Minister program. The Prime Minister says to date, $236.2 million has been paid under the COVID-19 Relief Assistance Program. Bainimarama says over 100,000 Fijians have benefited through the program.
We all know there are different accounts in the FNPF. What we have done is open some of these accounts except for the reserve account to assist those in need of financial support during these difficult times.
Businesses that are not complying with the food safety requirement will be penalized. These, as many restaurants and eateries have been issued warnings and fines, while some have been taken to court for breaching certain provisions of the regulation. Ministry of Health's Chief Health Inspector Vimal Deo says businesses should not make any excuses as they have similar access to the resources. Deo says the transportation, storage and handling of food are important.
Good hygiene practice, and I must emphasize that this is the core to making sure that food is safe and that consumers get a product that they want to receive in a manner which they feel is appropriate.
More information came to the surface as the multi-million-dollar drug trial of Joshua Ramans continued in the Suva High Court yesterday. Amongst witnesses called to take the stand was a police officer involved in the raid at Raman's Thaumbati home. Raman's time under arrest without being formally charged was raised once again. 16-year police veteran Corporal William Nangatalevu appeared as a witness and maintained that Raman wasn't held for more than 48 hours after his arrest of February 13, 2019. The defense lawyer, in cross-examining Corporal Nangatalevu, discovered that Raman was released from police custody on the night of the 15th and then almost immediately rearrested. Meanwhile, the defense objected to the prosecution's application to use Skype to adduce evidence from a witness in New Zealand unable to travel due to the pandemic restrictions. The objection was overruled and the New Zealand witness will be able to give evidence from Wellington. Schools are legally obliged to report any personal injury or death to the Accident Compensation Commission of Fiji. Chief Executive Pervez Akbar says under the School Accidents Regulation 2018, if a pupil suffers any personal injury or dies as a result of a school accident, the controlling authority must report this to ACCF and the Permanent Secretary responsible for education.
Injuries need to be reported within 14 days from the date of becoming aware of the the injury, and within 7 days of becoming aware of any death. We've paid just over $180,000 in compensation for school injuries. No compensation for deaths yet. At this stage, there hasn't been any successful applications regarding death.
The green light given to Savu Savu Bay to operate as the nation's second Blue Lane yacht port has given renewed hope to many businesses. Savu Savu will be opening its Blue Lane for yachts on Thursday. Savu Savu Town Council Special Administrator Doreen Robinson says this will offer economic relief to the people there. As a designated Blue Lane yacht port, Savu Savu Bay will serve as a clearance port and quarantine anchorage for yachts under supervision by health officials and members of Fiji's disciplined forces.
Things have been pretty bleak over the last few months, and then as if the pandemic wasn't enough, we had the 2 cyclones. So it's been tough going all year for Savu Savu, especially being a tourist town. And you know, this is a little glimmer of hope and hopefully a sign of better things to come as the year progresses.
The Ministry of Health is conducting face-to-face registrations for those who want to get COVID-19 vaccine. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says almost 200 tablets are being distributed through various teams that will go out to communities. Dr. Fong adds that these teams move out when there is a need for community-wide response, and registration for the COVID-19 vaccinations falls under this category. In an emotional plea to the people, Dr. Fong urges that people get vaccinated, adding that people need to be thinking of each other as being vaccinated is important for all Fijians. He says people engaging in registration and vaccination is part of getting the health and economic sector back on track.
Teams will move out. They will be face-to-face registration that does not require online. The reason we require you to register is that part of the discussion about engaging in the external world is to be able to validate the fact that you are protected through vaccine.
Up ahead, Rewa football finds rhythm. And Easter Championship to start on Thursday. Stay with us.
Oira na ngone no ndai nunu ena bisi ni mataka.
Mersusunga da kena loma dina kena mikron.
Sakena ngau na metaro bina no rabaksa ngai ka wala loma takina ngone. Dalabina oya o meliki.
Bulre oya o Samuel Samuli.
Nama kikirau ena be mataka.
Boniti kena makarombuka.
Ni waitini kalima na miniti me ono kina tiri na kaloko. Ena Radio Fiji One nandomo ibiti.
Indaw kina na mataka dan ramai na singabo.
Rugby is a source of livelihood for many Fijian families. However, not many women players make a living out of the sport. At last weekend's Fiji beat Sapphire Marist Sevens, the Fiji police fielded a women's team called Blue Diamond, which later won the title. A player from the team hopes she can find full-time employment in the force through rugby.
Being a talented player is good, but finding a job nowadays is quite hard. However, that can change for Meriani Rongosau, who is part of the first police women's sevens rugby team.
If I'm going to be given the opportunity to join the police force, I'll grasp it with both hands because I'm young, so I can't let an opportunity slip.
Rongosau, who mesmerized the crowd at the Mari Sevens, has even caught the attention of the Fijiana Sevens coaching staff.
After our game at the Nawaka Sevens, the National Sevens coach approached me and told me they wanted Rongosau to join the Fijian training squad. So we have been in contact, and they also asked if I could give her more game time.
Rongosau, who also plays for Suva in Skipper Cup, fell in love with rugby as a young girl.
I used to play at an early age with my friends back in Namandi. We used flip-flops or plastic bottles as rugby balls.
The police Blue Diamond is expected to feature in more sevens tournaments in the country. Aquila Dhama, FBC Sports.
Rewa football coach Roderick Singh believes the team's performance has improved compared to the last 3 rounds of the Digicel Premier League. The side sits on 6th place on the ladder with 5 points after round 4. Rewa has so far recorded a win, a loss and 2 draws. After the narrow 2-1 win over Navur on Sunday, Coach Roderick Singh says the team is slowly finding its rhythm.
We all worked really hard in scoring. Although we didn't score the amount of goals we wanted to, we were looking forward to win in a good way. But although the boys stuck to the game plan, and in the last minute they did what we were supposed to do.
Bar football coach Kamal Swami is optimistic the team will bounce back. Bar suffered its first defeat on Sunday in the DGCL Premier League. The man in black lost to Lautoka 2-1 at Churchill Park.
We can improve, and I think the fighting spirit was still there till the last minute. They got one goal, which is a positive.
Teams from around VT level will compete against Suva teams in the upcoming Eastern Championship. Suva Volleyball is working with other associations in allowing affiliate teams to compete in the annual event. Teams from outside Suva Volleyball will join, including Lautoka, Nakasi, Nandi, Nandrunga and Mead Harbour Association. General Secretary Semai Malangilangi says this is part of their wider plan to develop the sport.
We have our own plans, and we also hope to invite other associations that are willing to share our goals and our vision to continue to develop volleyball in Fiji.
A weak trough of low pressure remains slow moving over the eastern parts of the country. Associated cloud and showers affect the eastern and northern parts of the country. And that's FBC Morning News. Do join us at 7 p.m. for our major bulletin. And remember, for news you can trust, get the facts from FBC's TV, radio and digital news at fbcnews.com.fj. Take care and good morning.
हमारे खूबसूरत देश फिजी में चाइल्ड अब्यूज की घटनाएं आए दिन बढ़ रही हैं।
क्यों बच्चों का मासूम बचपन अब्यूज का शिकार हो जाता है?
अपने बच्चों की सुरक्षा का खास ख्याल रखें।
उनसे बातचीत करें, उनके दोस्तों के बारे में जानें।
आज के बच्चे देश का भविष्य है। मैं दीप्ति
और मैं मोनिश,
आपके हमसफर। शामिल हो जाए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे
5:45 AM से 10 AM तक
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन पर।